Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reacting to
9 very British problems that only Brits will understand.
Today we are talking about problems. I've got them, you've got them, we've all got them, but I've made a list of some 9 very British problems that I've experienced since moving to the UK.
It would be interesting to see American problem only Americans would understand.
what would be an example?
Within gun violence.
Now there is a website called Very British Problems, and oftentimes people will react.
Going to doctors, like what?
I was thinking problems not that deep, but when
Oh.
you said that I was like, oh.
Okay, I guess. I guess.
To ones they find on there, but these are all mine. These are all based on my actual experience, so let's see how many you can relate to. Problem number 1, you can never remember.
To be fair though, gun violence is not American. Like to title only American, no, because like in a lot of countries there's a lot of gang. Like if you're looking about from Europe perspective, yeah, there isn't there, but in other parts of the world there. So I don't think it's only Americans. But that were only Americans, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, maybe I'll find a video like that.
Based on my actual experience, so let's see how many you can relate to. Problem number 1, you can never remember which bin goes out this week. Is it recycling? Is it trash/rubbish? Never entirely sure. I can remember what I did 3 weeks ago on Thursday, but I can never remember which bin goes out, which is not the entirety of the British problem. The British problem is I'm relying on my neighbors to decide which bin I'm also putting out, but they don't always know because they're also relying on the first person they see to put a bin out. So if the first person on the street puts out a bin that's the wrong one for the week, I guarantee you most of the street is going to put out the wrong bin because we're all just copying each other. And I know there's a schedule online for every council. You can figure it out. I could post this on my fridge. I could put this in my phone. I could write it down on a post-it, but I don't. I literally just rely on looking out the window going, oh, I wonder which bin is going out today, and hoping that my neighbor has the right idea. Problem 2.
Interesting problem, not exactly something I could relate, but it is funny if your neighbor messes up and everybody just copies each other.
Yeah.
Nobody gets their trash picked up.
And who do you blame?
Yourself? Who else?
Christmas chocolate, specifically Quality Street chocolate. I'm sorry. Here's the problem. I feel like around Christmas, there's these traditional British chocolate tins that everybody considers festive, and that's what we eat around the holidays. However, you go through the tin, and I'm like, I don't actually like any of these chocolates. I just want something. I just want a normal chocolate. I don't want this.
Okay, I don't know about this chocolate, would be interesting for a separate reaction, but I think for us, we have the butter cookies. It's, for whatever reason, it's only popular around Christmas. And it's the ones, guys, that you always put the sewing kit in after you're done. You sew those. Yeah, and nobody really they're not bad cookies, but they're not something I would ever buy aside from that.
Do you have a favorite?
Yeah, or they're okay. If it's on the table, I can eat it, but it's not something I would ever crave.
My parents don't.
But people always gift them. Why? Nobody likes. I don't know. So I assume this is a similar problem.
It's just because it's Christmas. And I find for me this also applies to other specialty chocolates. I just feel around holidays like Easter and Christmas, you're expected to have some sort of special chocolate, and I just want a good old-fashioned bar of plain milk chocolate Cadbury's for all the holidays. I don't want whatever is in the Quality Street tin. Problem number 3, and I hope my neighbors aren't watching this, when you leave the house at the exact same time as your neighbor, and British houses are typically relatively close together in a lot of spaces, so you're kind of confronted with that awkward moment of now we have to have some sort of social interaction because we both need to leave at the exact same time. And whether you're walking to your car or you're just walking somewhere, it's you can't ignore them because they're right next door, they're 6 feet away from you, but you also don't necessarily always feel like having a social interaction. And my neighbors are actually lovely if they are watching this. This is nothing against my neighbors, but you don't always want to chat. Sometimes you just want to get on with your life, but when you leave the house and your neighbor opens the door at the same time, it's often too late to retract you going out. Sometimes it's not too late. Sometimes you can pretend that you were just opening the door to get some fresh air for 2 seconds, and then you slam the door shut and wait for them to go to their car or whatever. But sometimes it's just you've reached the point of no return, and you have to have some sort of a social interaction with your neighbor that feels very forced, and it's a British problem. Problem number 4.
That's interesting. I mean, I would just say hi and that's it.
Because they don't believe in small talk, right?
Right. I mean, I wouldn't have to just say good morning and that's it. I don't know. That's interesting. Yeah, I can't relate to that.
I think it's a personal her personal feelings towards that.
4 is the period of the year when the towels do not dry because the heating is not coming on, but it's not hot enough for the towels to necessarily dry on their own. So we're talking autumn and spring during certain months. Our heated towel rails are attached to the central heating, so if the central...
How does that work? I thought you just hang the towel.
There's towel heaters, like, like we have, it's like, we call it like a snake. It's like a radiator, but it's like this. You can hang your towel and it dries. I mean, here you don't really have that problem. You just hang it. I'm not exactly sure, but let's see what she's going to say.
If heating hasn't come on, then they're not going to come on. I know you can get other options and like you can be able to turn on a towel rail specifically, but we're not that fancy. So for everyone else who isn't that fancy, you'll know what I mean when I say you reach just that really in-between soggy part of the year where the heating is not drying your towels, but it's not dry enough to dry them on your own, and you're just constantly trying to dry yourself with soggy towels. The next problem, and again, sometimes...
Maybe it's cold indoors, like it's cold inside like the house, and it just doesn't dry. I don't know, I'm not sure.
I like to read exactly what I wrote down because it's kind of ridiculous. The problem. When you're like, oh, I want to experience what the UK has to offer on holiday, but then it's like £700 for one night in a glamping hut in the middle of nowhere versus like £70 total to go to Spain with all-inclusive for 7 nights. So guess which one I'm choosing. This is a very British problem. It can be very expensive to travel within the UK, and you look at like TUI or all of these other like package holiday deals, and you're like, should I go on a potentially mild weather, rainy holiday that costs me the same amount for 2 nights as it would cost me for a guaranteed sun holiday for 7 nights with all food included, and you typically just end up leaving. Like, I love the UK, but why is it cheaper to go on vacation 3 hours away, like, across a body of water than it is, like, 2 hours away that I could drive to?
Because y'all guys in UK make more money than people in Spain do. That's simple. I mean, same works the same everywhere.
Next very British problem is I feel like the size of cars here have grown more than the size of the parking spaces. I will admit, I'm American. I'm not great at parking on a good day. However, there are some spaces where you're just like, you could only fit like a ride-on electric car for a 3-year-old in this spot, not an actual car that somebody drives. Now, the very British problem comes when you can finagle your way into the space. Okay, did it, pat yourself on the back, gold star. But then you can barely get out of your car without this awkward dance because you don't want to hit the car next to you with your door, but these parking spaces are not allowing for the fact that cars have doors. And so you're opening the door and like sideways.
Wonder how it is for like Teslas when they open up like up like this.
Oh, it's even probably worse. Now Lamborghinis with the suicide doors, those I guess parking spot don't matter because it just goes up, right? So you don't need much space. So those are actually good. But yeah, the Tesla, those doors, yeah, I think we need even more space. Yeah, but this is very much European problem, not just British. Yeah, like you don't realize how tiny the parking spots is here. Like I almost never have to open the car door just a little bit to kind of like squeeze out. Europe is like more than half of the times that's how you get out of the car. You know,
shimmying your way through, and you have to like do an interpretive dance to get out of your car in this parking space. I find myself doing that a lot. The next problem on my list is when you see the delivery guy, maybe from the upstairs window, maybe downstairs, maybe you just hear him coming, but you can't be too eager and like meet him at the door, so you have to awkwardly just stand in your house like waiting for the doorbell to ring, and then pretending, even though no one is watching you, pretending to like mosey your way through the door at an appropriate period of time so the delivery guy doesn't overthink about how fast you got to the door. Like what? Why do I do this? Like why don't I just meet the delivery guy at the door?
No, you just meet him at the door.
Saw you come in, like let's save everybody time. I just freeze in my house and like...
Sounds like that's a her thing though. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, if I saw him outside or saw a delivery, I would just go and like...
Like, why? The next problem is when you really want a starter or a dessert, but you're out with like a group of people and you have to wait to see if somebody else also wants it before you admit that you want it. If you're out with like a good friend or a significant other, fine. You feel free to be yourself and want all the desserts in the world. But when you're in a group, maybe like extended family, maybe like acquaintances or a larger group, and you just feel like somebody else needs to say that they also want a starter before you are allowed to want a starter, because God forbid you be the only person to like want a starter or want a dessert. It's all very awkward, very uncomfortable.
I would think it would be like that if you don't want to share. Because if you get it first, you have to think, okay, others are going to want to share, so you order like 2 starters instead of just 1. But if you see someone else gets a starter, then you get a starter too, you can feel safe that no one's gonna steal your starter.
I wonder if it's like a British problem, like culturally that's how it is, or just like that's how her personality. Because I could see like this being a thing if like one person foots the bill, so you don't wanna be that person to make the bill more expensive. But if everybody's paying for themselves,
that's a good point.
Then like if I want to start it, I'm gonna go get a starter.
But oftentimes when you go in group, people assume, okay, we're gonna put this together. You know?
Well, split it,
yeah.
Yeah.
So there's always that personality. Okay, some people they don't order too much, or some people they order everything. It's just that's a common issue. I see that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I wonder if this is like really British problems or just.
Yeah, I get it.
I don't know, because it could be like in the culture, people kind of like look at you sideways for this, too, or like the previous thing she talked about the delivery driver. It could be like the delivery driver be like, oh,
dang,
why you can't meet me? Wait until I go. I don't know. Maybe that. But to me, it seems like it's more like a communication kind of issue, if anything.
He has to be that guy, like somebody has to be that person, but everybody's trying desperately not to be that person. And then sometimes people are too polite and they all want desserts or they all want starters or whatever. And if nobody's willing to be that guy, you all just go home sad that you didn't get dessert, even though you wanted it, because you felt like you were being polite by being like, oh no, I'm good, I'm full. Like, why don't I just say, yes, this is what I want? The final British problem on my list is when a post office is located within like a co-op or a corner shop or something, and they combine the lines. So the same line to buy a thing of ketchup is the line that you need to be in for the post office facilities. Maybe it's one person running the whole thing.
To buy
and
a ketchup?
No, ketchup is an example, but so basically it's like a small town, I guess, even there isn't too much like post office traffic, they maybe combine the post office and the corner store. So it's like a corner store but also post office. So if you need a package to send or to like pick up, I don't know, you have to wait in the corner store line.
Wow.
Now that is probably a uniquely British thing, because I don't imagine that being like that here, because post office is a government agency. There ain't no way they would ever combine it with a
what about a private mail place, maybe
private mail, but not a post office. So this is definitely a uniquely British thing. That's so interesting. But no, I could understand the frustration. If I want to, there's one person in line for post office and there's 5 people for the groceries.
And they gotta check out like 20 items.
Yeah.
So awkward and so uncomfortable that you're taking any amount of time like with your post office stuff, because typically post office stuff is going to take a little bit longer than bringing somebody up like with their food items, and the line gets
so she's uncomfortable to inconvenience. I would be annoyed because I have to wait for other people that not for post office.
So I think that's her thing then she's like very mindful of others before herself.
You know what I think is going on here? She don't wants to be that American.
Yeah.
I think she's overly cautious and overly humble because she don't want to be the American. It's like, I think that's what's going on here. Because all these things, I think she just doesn't want to be looked as, because she does it because she's American, and people going to think she's American so she's rude, or I think that's what's happening here.
Longer behind you, and you're just like, I am so sorry for daring to send this card to my grandma. Like, I apologize, I will never do it again. And it's like, you're allowed to be there. They have post office facilities. It's not your fault that the lines are combined and like the person behind you with like a ready-made curry is having to wait, but you just feel like you have just wronged everybody in the store. So there you have.
Interesting. The last one is very interesting. Yeah, I don't know if such things exist.
Can I see her comments?
Yeah. I know you're education, but that's just a little the video to prove that you are now definitely the true Brit.
Oh, so she's been accepted. That's good for her. Yeah.
The term for the first person on the street to put their bin out is binfluencer.
That's funny. Guys, of course, let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord, and as always, share as much kindness as possible.